Nana forgot to fasten her seatbelt while boarding the plane. This unexpected mistake actually saved her life. Not long after the plane took off, the cabin suddenly encountered severe turbulence. Then a large hole was torn open in the fuselage. The passengers in the back row were instantly sucked out of the cabin. Nana, not having her seatbelt on, was flung from her seat, tumbling continuously due to inertia. At this critical moment, her boyfriend beside her grabbed her tightly, trying his best to pull her back to her seat, but the violent shaking of the fuselage caused them to lose grip quickly. Nana desperately clung to nearby fixtures, then reached out to grab her boyfriend. Who would have thought that the entire section of the fuselage would suddenly snap? Her boyfriend vanished in an instant before she could react. The cockpit also abruptly detached. The cabin he was in started to plummet rapidly, despite knowing it was a matter of life and death. Nana still refused to give up, clutching tightly onto surrounding objects, struggling to maintain balance. Another fierce jolt came. When she came to her senses, she was thrown back into her seat. She quickly fastened her seatbelt. Afterward, all she could do was leave it to fate. The aircraft hurtled towards the forest at high speed. Unbelievably, she miraculously survived. Gazing at the wreckage around her, Eun-ae could hardly believe she was still alive. At this time, a sharp pain shot through her leg. Gritting her teeth, she propped herself up, only to find her left leg had been pierced by a steel plate during the fall. Trapped in the primeval forest, she realized that if she wanted to survive, she could only rely on herself. With both hands gripping the steel plate, enduring excruciating pain, she forcibly pulled it out of her leg. After a quick treatment, she tore off her skirt hem, bandaged the wound to stop the bleeding, then painfully stood up, shouting for help in all directions, hoping there were other survivors. But the only response was an eerie silence. She noticed a passenger in the back row, initially thinking the person was just unconscious. Approaching, I realized there was no sign of life. A deep sense of helplessness washed over me. He never expected that his honeymoon trip with his boyfriend would meet such a tragic fate. Exhausted, he quickly fell into a deep sleep. Soon, he was awakened by mosquito bites. In the daze, he heard the sound of a helicopter. It was the search and rescue team looking for survivors. Hope was rekindled to get their attention. He took a scarf from one of the deceased, staggering out of the cabin. He followed the sound to a clearing, waving the scarf at the helicopter. But the pilot was focused on conversation and didn't notice him. Watching the chance for rescue slip away, he collapsed to the ground. Yet he still didn't give up hope. Believing the search team would eventually find him, he decided to return to the wreckage to wait. But to his horror, he discovered a fierce tiger was inside the cabin, feeding on the remains. He froze in terror, holding his breath, not daring to make a sound. He carefully backed away, but accidentally stepped on a branch. The noise startled the tiger. It immediately began to approach him. Just as he thought, he was doomed. The helicopter passed overhead again. The roar scared off the tiger. He narrowly escaped. Shaken by the scare, he dared not return to the wreckage. He could only sit down nearby, looking around anxiously, fearing the tiger might return. Then he suddenly spotted a toy bear on the ground. Attached to it was a decorative tag. It gave him a sudden glimmer of hope. He quickly removed the tag and took out the safety pin. Trapped in the primitive forest, determining direction was crucial. Remembering the survival skills his boyfriend had taught him, he magnetized the pin by rubbing it quickly on his clothes. Placed it on the leaf. As the needle stung it, pointed the way to fight for a chance to survive. He sprang into action immediately, first heading to the river to hydrate and fill his water pouch, then returning to the wreckage to scavenge for supplies, but found nothing of use. To fend off the biting cold, he took the clothes of the deceased and wore them, securing the water pouch to his walking stick. Determined, he began his journey back. However, his leg injury was severe. Each step, an agonizing challenge, navigating the rugged mountain paths, while staying vigilant against lurking forest predators. Unsure how long he'd been walking, a swamp blocked his path. To avoid sinking, he probed ahead with a wooden stick, yet still stumbled into the mud, fighting desperately. Just as he pulled his leg free, he lost balance and fell, half his body submerged in the mud. In desperation, he reached out for a nearby branch, refusing to give up, finally freeing himself from the This struggle left him utterly exhausted. After a brief rest, he pressed on once more. Ahead loomed a 45-degree incline, an undeniable challenge, but with no way back. He hoisted himself upward using his crutch. Slipping halfway up, he tumbled down. Fortunately, it wasn't high, sustaining only minor injuries. Learning from the mishap, he switched to crawling on all fours, slowly inching his way up. After 2.5 grueling hours, he finally conquered the slope. Yet, danger lurked around the corner. He encountered the same tiger from before, trying to edge away slowly, but the tiger spotted him. He bolted, running for his life, unable to outrun the beast's speed. Just as it was about to pounce, he tumbled into a narrow crevice, battered but alive. This fall saved him from the predator's pursuit. The tiger eventually turned and walked away, waiting until all was silent outside. He climbed out and continued his arduous trek forward. Not far away, he noticed a suitcase on the ground. Inside, he found a lighter. As the sky grew darker, he lit
an ancient campfire for warmth,
managing to get a night's rest. Early next morning, he set off again to get a better view from higher ground. Bearing the pain, he climbed towards the summit. But upon reaching the top, the sight before him filled him with despair. Endless primeval forest stretched as far as the eye could see. At his pace, how many years would it take to reach any sign of human life? Just as despair was setting in, suddenly, he spotted the plane's cockpit across the river. Hope reignited, from the wreckage. He guessed there might be survival tools inside. He quickly descended the mountain to prepare for crossing the river, but his injured leg couldn't steady him. Soon he was swept away by the rapid current. The raging river swallowed him whole. Fortunately, he knew how to swim. Struggling to reach the shore, he clung to a rock and pulled himself onto the opposite bank. Without a moment's pause, he entered the cockpit. After searching everywhere, he found the flare gun and 3 signal flares. He loaded the gun immediately and fired one shot into the sky. Just as he was about to fire again, he suddenly realized the signal flares should be saved for when rescue approaches. Then a cold wave hit, shivering uncontrollably in his thin clothing, wanting to light a fire for warmth. But the lighter had run out of fuel. His confidence began to waver, thinking the chances of being found in this vast forest were slim. Rather than freeze to death, he considered ending it all, placing a plastic bag over his head to suffocate. But by chance he noticed a backpack hanging on a tree ahead. It was his boyfriend's luggage. He hurriedly brought down the backpack. Inside, he saw sketches his boyfriend had drawn of him. Sweet memories flooded back vividly. This reignited his fighting spirit. Perhaps his boyfriend was still alive too. Without wasting a second, he sprang to his feet to look for him. But life had other plans, delivering a crushing blow. There deep in the pit lay the man he loved. More than anything. His body already cold and silent. Without hesitation, he leapt into the pit, holding his boyfriend close in a desperate embrace. That fragile thread, keeping him going, snapped completely. Surviving alone wasn't an option anymore. He wanted nothing more than to join him. Just then, the roar of a helicopter sliced through the air once again. The rescue team was still out there searching, staring at the lifeless face of his lover. Tears streamed down as he let out a heart-wrenching cry. Even in his grief, he realized his boyfriend's dying wish would have been for him to keep living. Determined to honor that wish, he seized this last chance. With trembling hands and tear-filled eyes, he whispered a final goodbye. Summoning every ounce of strength, he clawed his way out. He grabbed the flare gun and fired it into the sky. Finally, the rescue team spotted the flare and rushed toward the frail figure they found. As they lifted him onto the helicopter, he forced himself upright, gazing out the window one last time to silently say goodbye. His love would stay behind forever, part of this forest. This film is inspired by real events. Through its powerful storytelling, it captures the raw despair and unexpected miracles faced by those who